A beautiful morning to you, and thanks for joining us here on News Now on News Central Television. Let's take a look at the top stories for this hour. Governor Fubara says his government will abide by the Supreme Court's judgment on lingering political crisis in Rivers State. Nigeria's Accountant General identifies major setbacks in implementing Supreme Court's ruling on local government autonomy. And 9 gunmen, 1 soldier killed as Beninese army engages militants in offensive operation. I'm Joe Hansen. Stay here with us to get the details coming up shortly. News Central now begins this hour in Rivers State, where the state governor, Siminalayi Fubara, has assured the people of the oil-rich state that his administration will implement the Supreme Court's verdict after carefully reviewing its certified true copy. This followed the Friday judgment of the Apex Court, which declared the LG election conducted in the state on October 5, 2024 as invalid. In a state broadcast on Sunday, Fubara confirmed that he had met with his legal team and expects to receive the certified true copy CTC of the ruling by Friday, March 7, 2025. He emphasized his administration's commitment to upholding constitutional principles and acting in line with the law.
People of Rivers State, we are all aware of the recent Supreme Court judgment and the pronouncement regarding aspects of the lingering political disputes in our dear state. Although we disagree with the judgment, we are bound to obey the order made therein as a law-abiding government. Since inception, we have conducted the affair of government within the framework of our Constitution, due process, and the rule of law. While we are not above mistakes, because we are humans, we believe that we have not, as a government, done anything deliberately to trample on the rule of law or the hallowed principles of constitutional governance. Accordingly, I've had a meeting with my team of lawyers, and they have assured me that the certified true copy of the judgment may be available to them by Friday, the 7th March of 2025. I assure you that upon the receipt of certified judgment, we shall study the ramification and implement them without reservation to move the state forward. Furthermore, given the outlawing of caretaker arrangements in the local government system, I hereby direct Head of Local Government Administration to immediately take over the administration of the 23 Local Government Council, pending the conduct of a fresh election by the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. I further direct that the outgoing local government chairman to formally hand over to the Head of Local Government Administration by Monday, the 3rd of March 2025. Although our dear state seems to be back in trying time, I urge everyone to remain calm and peacefully go about with their legitimate daily activity as we continue to do everything in our power to advance our responsibility to the citizen. Thank you, and may God bless Rivers State.
Well, still on Rivers State, the special advisor to FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, Lero Layinka, says Governor Sim Fubara has no power to determine who runs local governments in Rivers State. Layinka insists only democratically elected chairmen and councillors can lead, citing the Constitution and Supreme Court ruling on LG autonomy. This follows Fubara's directive for council chairmen to hand over to heads of local government administration after the Supreme Court voided the October 5, 2024 elections. Layinka argues that the Rivers Assembly, not the governor, should decide on tenure extensions. Fubara, however, maintains his administration will fully implement the Supreme Court's ruling and ensure compliance with constitutional provisions. Well, to discuss this and provide perspectives on the story, I'm joined by lawyer and public affairs analyst Eugene Ode. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Let's go straight into it. Governor Sim Fubara had no other option but to comply with the Supreme Court's ruling, or do you think there was another option?
If there's an order of courts, especially the Supreme Court, and you're a party to that suit, and that order binds you, you have no option than to abide by the orders and the directives of the courts. This is the apex court. You have no other opportunity to appeal it except to pray to God. And being the apex court, once a pronouncement of the Supreme Court has been made, it doesn't leave you any option than to obey and comply. Otherwise, you will be in contempt of not just the court, but also in contempt of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is quite, if you look at it critically, it may amount to treasonable felony.
All right. Did the local government election, the one held in the state, on October 5, 2024, did it violate the Constitution and the Electoral Act? There are different interpretations as regards to what happened on that said day.
Now, you see, we have gone past the argument of whether or not the election was valid. The Supreme Court haven't found that the election did not comply with statutory provisions of the Electoral Act and probably the Constitution. If the Supreme Court has reached that finding and made a pronouncement thereof, it is not open to any further debates from you, from I, or any Nigerian. It stands to be the final decision of the Supreme Court, and everybody must line behind that decision of the Supreme Court, which is that the election itself was conducted in breach of statutory provisions. And now that the Supreme Court has annulled the election, it behooves the parties involved, to which the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, RISEC, to go back to the drawing board and look at the judgment of the Supreme Court and see the areas where the Supreme Court pointed out the laws that were in breach, if there was any, or if it was because of the order of courts which was extant at the moment, because I'm aware that there was an order of court restraining INEC from releasing the voters' register. And if that order was still subsisting, and on that basis that the court is saying that there's no how the election would have been conducted without publishing of the authentic voters' register from INEC, then what it means is that the Supreme Court is directing all parties to go back to the court, all right, and conclude the matters that were before the court. That order needs to be either vacated or whatever it is, the issues that were in contention in that litigation ought to be resolved before the elections are conducted. Don't forget, this is not the first time this is happening. In 2015, if I remember, in Rivers State, there was an issue like that where the APC, there was a restraining order from the Federal High Court restraining them from going ahead with the conduct of their party congresses. And in defiance to that order, the party went ahead and conducted the congresses that produced candidates for election. And towards the election period, it was found that the congresses were not supposed to hold because of the injunctive order which was in place. And for that reason, APC was excluded from the election because everything that came out of those congresses were found to be illegalities and they were declared a nullity. So this is not the first time it's happening in Rivers State. There was an order of courts restraining INEC from releasing voters' register to RISEC, and the register, according to INEC, was not released. And if that register was not released, It means, therefore, that the election was conducted without the publication of authentic register from INEC. And that is a breach, it's a fundamental breach to the process and procedure for conducting elections in any part of the country. So if that's the reasoning of the Supreme Court, well, the governor and the government of the state has no problem abiding that decision of the court. Is to go back and look at those gray areas, correct those errors, and then the election will still hold. It's not a big deal.
Well, this all traces back to the defection of the state's 27 lawmakers as well in terms of the conversation. But what does the law say about the political defection in Nigeria? Now, there comes a case where many have said until there's a handwritten letter that has been issued to the political party, especially by the 27, in quotes, defected members, that's the only time they can be termed to have defected to a new political party. But holding flags and waving them doesn't in any way show that they have defected. What's your take on this, and what does it hold when it comes to tenets of the law?
Well, defection is in itself not unconstitutional. Don't forget the freedom of association, freedom to hold and express opinion are all guaranteed by the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Everybody has the right to freely associate in any group, in any political party, in any association, as you think fit at any moment, at any stage in your life. Nobody is against anybody defecting from any political party to another political party. Having said that, when it has to do with defection and the subject matter in Rivers State, well, the procedure for defection, it is neither here nor there. What we know is that the 27 lawmakers, by their own volition, in exercise of their fundamental right of freedom of association, decided to jump ship, to leave the PDP, and decided to join the APC. And the fact of their defection is a notorious fact. It's a fact which they themselves cannot deny, as it were today, because they are contained in several legal instruments. First is that the letter of their defection was read during plenary on the floor of the House on the day they defected. And that letter was read by the then Speaker, who was the presiding officer on that day. That letter was read in the front and in the face of both print media and other media houses, right? So the fact of their defection is not a matter of conjecture. It's a matter of fact, and evidence abound to that effect. A letter was written, signed, and read out during plenary by the then Speaker Martins Amehule. And it didn't just end during the plenary. It took further steps, and they were received by the APC, both at the national and even at the state level. It was widely celebrated and widely published. And to seal this whole argument is the fact that they themselves actually went to court and swore to an affidavit. It can't be anything that is higher than that. Let's even assume that they did not write any letter to anybody declaring their defection. The fact that they went before a federal high court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and by themselves deposed to an affidavit about the fact that they have defected from the PDP and gave reasons why they defected. They were the ones who filed that suit by themselves. The affidavit was sworn on behalf of the 26 of them by the speaker, the former speaker himself. All those informations are in the public domain. So the issue of their defection is not even a matter of argument. You cannot approbate, and the law will not allow you to approbate and reprobate. If you by yourself said you are no longer in PDP and you've taken steps, physical, proactive steps, consciously by yourself, and everybody has seen it, and you now go to court and state these same facts before a court, I mean, you can't turn around and begin to and deny a fact that is so obvious and so notorious. And in fact, sometimes some of these things are things that even the court should actually take judicial notice of, because they are facts that we call notorious facts. So whether or not anybody comes to inform the court ought to take judicial notice of the fact of the defection of these 27 lawmakers. They have defected. Their seats were declared vacant immediately after their defection by the new speaker who took over at that time, Edison Ehie. Okay? That declaration of vacancy was communicated to the PDP. The PDP national, don't forget recently, to the national chairman, has also called on INEC to conduct the by-election in Rivers State. So if the party itself has already accepted the defection of these 27 lawmakers and have also, in line with the provisions of the Constitution and the party constitution, written to INEC to conduct a by-election, then the fate of the 27 lawmakers, as far as this issue is concerned, has been determined, as the case may be. All right.
Thank you so much, lawyer and political analyst Eugene O'Day, for speaking with us here on News Now. All right.
My pleasure.
Great. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at more stories. Arewa Consultative Forum demands probe into Senator Natasha Akpoti sexual harassment allegation. Stay with us. Welcome back to News Now here on News Central Television. Let's go to Nigeria's capital, Abuja, where the House of Representatives is set to investigate oil companies over outstanding debts totaling 9.4 trillion naira owed to the Federation account. House spokesperson Akin Rotimi announced on Sunday that the Committee on Public Accounts will hold hearings from March 3rd to 7th, 2025. The debts include unpaid royalties, gas flare penalties, and production sharing contract obligations, many of which have remained unsettled since 2021. The investigation follows an Auditor General's report which flags the massive debt despite the Petroleum Industry Act's requirement for payments within 30 days. Oil companies involved have been summoned to appear before the committee at the National Assembly complex in Abuja. Well, away from that, Nigeria's Accountant General has identified major setbacks in implementing the Supreme Court's ruling on local government autonomy. The Federation Account Allocation Committee revealed that most local government councils have failed to submit their account details, a key requirement for direct payments. Additionally, determining which councils have democratically elected leaders remains a challenge. Of the 774 councils, only Delta State's 25 LGAs have provided account details. Talks between the Accountant General's office and the Attorney General are ongoing to resolve the issue. Meanwhile, the central bank is profiling local government chairmen as part of financial accountability measures. 8 months after the Supreme Court's ruling, local government autonomy is yet to be fully implemented. Let's tell you that a new political party known as Team New Nigeria has emerged in Kano State and says that it has successfully registered 43 million citizens across the country. Members of the new party made this known in the Kano State capital while unveiling its logo at the Kano Pillars Stadium in the state. The party's national president, Modibo Farakwai, also inaugurated 8 committees tasked with advancing the party's registration process and revealed that the Membership Registration and Harmonization Committee will be chaired by federal lawmaker Ibrahim Muhammad.
We want to form a political party devoid of ethnic background, religion affiliation, a party that will truly represent the interests of the collective interests of Nigeria, that will promote good governance and ensure rule of law and ensure security of life and property and fight corruption and misgovernance. Sure, we have all it takes to run the Federation of Nigeria as in government. We have very competent people, well-experienced people with untainted record. They have very good background. So we have people, unlike what you have in the present Bola Tinubu's government, where there is too much unaccountability and unseriousness. You see this TNN, as you see, it's been formed by Nigerians, collegial kind of political party. We don't collect money from people. We form it by Nigerians who want a real change, a real progressive governance. We fund it, we promote it, and reach to this level, and determined to change the government in 2027.
The Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, has called for a transparent investigation into Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's sexual harassment allegation against Senate President Godswill Akpabio. In a statement, ACF's National Publicity Secretary, Professor Tukur Muhammad-Baba, expressed concern over the controversy, warning that it damages the reputation of the Senate. The forum noted that the potential negative impact on Nigeria's National Assembly and the representation of Kogi Central in the Senate. ACF urged a thorough, independent and unbiased probe to restore public confidence. It joined other Nigerians in calling for a swift resolution to the crisis to protect the integrity of the legislative arm of the government. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has warned of mass protest if the federal government proceeds with a telecommunications tariff hike beyond the agreed terms. This decision was made at the NLC National Executive Council meeting in Yola, Adamawa State, where the union also launched CNG-powered mass transit buses for the Northeast Zone. The NLC also rejected the reclassification of electricity consumers, calling it an attempt to unfairly increase tariffs. The union urged its affiliates to prepare for decisive action against anti-people policies, vowing resistance to any further electricity price hikes. It also pledged to reclaim the restructure the Labour Party, ensuring it represents the interests of workers. The Court of Appeal in Lagos has rejected a request by a senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, to ban public officers from seeking medical treatment abroad. Justice Polycarp Tenna-Kwahar, reading the judgment on behalf of the three-man panel, stated that preventing public officers from seeking medical care overseas would infringe upon their fundamental rights. The court affirmed the decision of the Federal High Court in Ikeja, which had been delivered on January 10, 2021. Falana had previously argued that the government's failure to properly equip public hospitals violated Nigerians' rights to health and sought an order to prevent public officials from using public funds for foreign medical treatment. Let's tell you that the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has made significant drug busts, thwarting multiple trafficking attempts. On Monday, February 24th, NDLEA operatives arrested auto spare parts dealer Okeke Ebuka Igwe at Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, after attempting to send 1.10 kilogram of cocaine concealed in vehicle propellers to Angola. Igwe, who claimed to be a businessman at Aspanda Trade Fair Complex, was detained following credible intelligence. Additionally, on Sunday, February 23rd, Ezechi Cyprian was arrested while transporting 5.40 kg of cocaine to Owerri in a Toyota Sienna after weeks of surveillance. On February 28, a joint operation at Tinkan Seaport led to the discovery of 128 parcels of Canadian loud cannabis hidden in 2 mattresses inside a Toyota Venza imported from Canada. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has approved a 2-year tax waiver for traders affected by the September 2024 flood disaster and the Maiduguri Monday market fire incident. The chairman of the Borno State Internal Revenue Service, Professor Ibrahim Bello, who disclosed this while addressing journalists in Maiduguri, said the move aimed at facilitating economic recovery and easing financial burdens on businesses. He explained that the waiver is part of the state government's ongoing tax administration reforms designed to enhance the ease of doing business and encourage economic growth. The September 2024 flood disaster significantly disrupted economic activities in Borno, with businesses and households struggling to recover. Similarly, traders at the Maiduguri Monday market, a major commercial hub, suffered heavy losses due to a devastating fire earlier in the year. Staying in Nigeria's northeast, the federal government has begun the reconstruction of Alao Dam in Borno State, with officials asserting that the project will significantly improve the region's water infrastructure. The ceremony, which took place at Alao Dam, marks a renewed effort to revitalize the state's essential infrastructure after the devastation in September 2024. News Central's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
Sad reminder of the 10th September flood disaster that ravaged Maiduguri, Jere and other parts of Borno State. The collapse of dikes caused by years of neglect is believed to have been instrumental. Nigeria's Federal Executive Council, led by President Bola Tinubu, has approved 80 billion naira for the reconstruction and upgrade of the dam.
The Nigerian government has since begun the reconstruction and upgrade of the Alao Dam that led to the devastation of lives and properties on 10 September 2024 in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. And the hope of the people is that this effort will forestall future occurrence of flooding and help improve economic activities as well as farming, particularly irrigation, in this part of the world.
The Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation have pledged their support that this project within the stipulated project period of 24 months, enormous and quality work will be delivered.
Government of Borno State under my leadership, and indeed the people of Borno State and this very important community will provide the needed support to you for you to succeed.
The reconstruction of the Alao Dam was said to be in phases to include critical interventions to mitigate immediate flood risks, desilting and structural enhancements targeted for October 2025.
This groundbreaking ceremony is a testament to the federal government's unwavering commitment to rebuilding Borno State, not just in terms of physical infrastructure, but in restoring the livelihoods of dignity and dignity of our citizens.
At the inauguration, officials highlighted that the dam's restoration will lead to greater food security, help reduce rural poverty, and support sustainable agricultural practices.
To muna bukatan al'amarin ayyukanmu na kama kifin da muke yi shine suka lalace muna yanzu nan ba mu da wasu abubuwan da muke amfani da su shine muke neman alfarma a gwamnati.
Timely completion of the reconstruction and upgrade of the Alao Dam is critical to prevent flooding, particularly as the rainy season draws closer. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
The Kano State government has been called to invest on citizens in the grassroots to boost small and medium-scale businesses in the country. This was during an empowerment program in a Fagi local government area of the state, where 250 women received support from the state government as part of efforts to reduce poverty in the state. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu tells us more in this report.
Fagi local government area, Kano State, an area known to record the state's highest volume of trade, hosting the famous Kantinkwari and large commercial hubs. This gathering of women from Fagi is expected to empower 250 of them involved in micro, small and medium businesses with a sum of 20,000 naira each to boost their businesses.
I gave them this 20,000 for the sake of Allah, for the sake of Abba Kabir Yusuf. Inshallah, you know these women that you see, even if it is one soap you gave to women, they will still recognize you as you like them.
This has received commendations from several indigents of the community.
For someone to be taken to be given an appointment, when she goes, she represents women.
Our leaders in Fagi local government should financially support the remaining members in Fagi local government.
I really appreciate it.
State officials here present urge government at all levels to emulate this gesture, saying this can end Nigeria's economic challenges. In Kano for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
The governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, says the Executive Order 001 he recently signed into law to suspend all illegal mining activities in the state is in the interest of residents of the state. ensuring that lives and properties are secured. Details of the executive order was reeled out by the State Commissioner for Environment during an extraordinary press conference by the enforcement and technical team for the order. Our correspondent in Jos, the Plateau State capital, Chizoba Anyonwe, was there and now tells us more.
It wasn't the usual press conference held at intervals in the state. The presence of heads of all security agencies in the state, including those of ministries, departments and agencies, underscored the importance of this briefing. The essence of this meeting is to drive home the intentions of government in ensuring that the level of environmental degradation occasioned by activities of illegal mining is brought to a halt.
February 21st, 2025, His Excellency Governor Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang signed Executive Order 001-2025, suspending all illegal mining activities across Plateau states. This decisive action was born out of the governor's shared responsibility to protect lives and property from the escalating threats of insecurity emanating from mining activities and unregulated mining operations within the states.
The formation of artisan mining cooperatives among the illegal miners in the state is one key measure to achieving a safer environment on the plateau.
It's like a step forward towards becoming licensed miners ourselves. So it is for us to take that message down too. We would continue and we will not stop at this point to educate our people.
Major stakeholders are not left out of this move to salvage the already degrading environment.
We have the capacity to deploy our men to everywhere. Definitely all the sites. We've just started with some and we've restored sanity. And those who think that they will disobey or contravene these directives, we just want to assure you that we'll come after you.
We are going to work with the committee with using our regulations, so that we'll help the state have a holistic approach to it.
We are in total support of what the government is doing as far as their own responsibilities of bringing security and safety and peace and harmony to the society.
With this order now in place, any illegal miner will face the wrath of the law if caught in breach of it going forward. In Plateau, for News Central, Chizoba Anyonwe.
Very interesting report there from Chizoba Anyonwe. But let's also tell you that security architecture at the Lagos House of Assembly has increased significantly amidst suspicions of a plenary sessions ANC holding today. Well, last week, the impeached Speaker, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, made an appearance at the House of Assembly claiming he was never removed, if you recall. I'm now being joined by News Central's lead correspondent, Bernard Akede, who will be giving us an update currently situated at the center, talking about the Lagos State House of Assembly. Good morning to you, Bernard. What can you tell us from the Lagos State House of Assembly this morning? What's happening?
Good morning, Joe, and like you rightly stated in your introduction, yes, security architecture here has heightened. You can look to my left, just behind me. You can see that what used to be smooth entrance and exit of vehicles, whether workers or visitors at the House of Assembly, has now stopped to a sort of stop and search. So every vehicle before getting in there is stopped here in front of a barricade and being searched. They have to open their trunk, they have to open the cars, and then the drivers have to come down and identify themselves properly. On Thursday when we were here, there was just one black Mariah over there. Now we can count two right here in front of the House of Assembly, and then away from your camera, from your view, which I can see but you may not be able to see, are more black Mariahs and more security vehicles. Now straight down this way to my left here, where we came from, there was a barricade, and there still is a barricade all the way down there, just around where you have the Ikeja City Mall. Vehicles are being searched from there first, some maybe 200, 300 meters down before getting to the House of Assembly. And I'll spin around so that you can also see, and just behind as well, you will see more security operatives just in front of the House of Assembly. Now, I'll quickly explain why we're having this. As you did mention,
Okay. Well, we sincerely apologize for the communication challenges there in terms of the audio and video. But of course, we'll try as much as possible to connect with our man Bernard, who's currently on ground. And as you can see, a lot of beefed-up security architecture there. You can also recall that just last week, the former Speaker, Right Honourable Mudashiru Obasa, did make a comeback and taken his seat. Bernard, we're back to you again. Would like you to continue from where you stopped. You were talking about showing us from right behind the camera what's happening there.
All right. Apologies for the, for the breaky audio there, but I'll see if we can still do that swing and show you, the scenes from behind the camera right now. We're going to try and turn around once again so that you can see that truly security operatives or security presence here has been heightened, almost doubled from what we saw on Thursday. And I was saying that the reason for this is because there are rumors that there possibly may be a plenary session holding today. We cannot confirm that just yet, but there may just be. Now, it's one of two things. Right Honourable Mudashiru Obasa did speak last week saying that there was an agreement between him and Mojisola Meranda that she agreed to step down, but we didn't hear any of such from the camp of Mojisola Meranda. If you also remember from the report that was conducted by News Central's Bettina Unweli on Thursday last week, there were some lawmakers who said they do not support Obasa. So it's quite dicey now. If there's going to be a sitting, the question is who will preside over the sitting? Or should I say the questions are who will preside over the sitting and then who exactly is the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly? These are the questions that we're hoping we'll get answers to while we're here today, Joe.
Most importantly, those are questions that every single Lagosian who has an interest on that story would be expecting to hear and also see. Just before I let you go, one last one from you, Bernard. On your way down to that particular area, can you also shed light on any visibility? Were you able to see any supporters of Obasa? We do recall that some of them, as related last time, happened to look like they were street urchins who also joined in the queue of chanting that song and supporting him. Any possibility of seeing such while you were on your way to the House of Assembly?
Oh, no, nothing of such today. Like you rightly mentioned, last week on Thursday, if you can hear me clearly, on Thursday, it looked like a carnival over here. I was here myself, and there were people beating talking drums, and, you could hear the sound of trumpets, and people chanting songs and carrying placards that had the party logo, that's the All Progressives Congress, and the face of Right Honourable Mudashiru Obasa. But as for today, all you have is very heavy, and I repeat, very heavy security presence all around here. So I think even if there were supporters who would have wanted to make it down here, on getting close to these premises and seeing the kind of security presence here, they probably would think twice. Let me see if once again we can spin around so that you can actually see the type of security architecture that has built up around the Lagos House of Assembly. We have police officers in riot gear, we have the LNSC, we have the NSCDC, and then we have the task force as well, all blocking the entrance to these particular premises. So if you have no business coming here, it's clear that you should not be here. Again, I did mention that even people who work in the Lagos State House of Assembly have to properly identify themselves beyond what they used to do in the past before they can be granted. So again, to answer your question, there are no persons looking like supporters, and it will be difficult for them to make entrance to this place, or rather to gain entrance to this place.
All right. Thank you so much, Bernard Akede, who's right there on the ground and serving us that report. Thanks for your time. And once again, we apologize for the break in the audio transmission. But let's move on now to our very next story here on News Now. The news continues in West Africa, where we understand that clashes in northern Benin over the last week between armed groups and the military have resulted in 10 deaths, including one soldier, amid an increase in attacks on army positions. The military launched an offensive operation overnight Thursday into Friday, killing 9 gunmen in the commune of Karimama, close to the Niger border. This followed an attack in nearby Kantoro, where an improvised explosive device killed one soldier and injured 2 others. The rise in violence, often attributed to jihadist groups moving from neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger, has heightened concerns about the spillover of insurgencies into Benin. The attacks in the north near conflict zones in the Sahel are part of a broader regional crisis linked to groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Welcome back. And outside the African continent, a significant moment in international relations unfolded last week as U.S. President Donald Trump met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the Oval Office. The meeting, set against the backdrop of ongoing tensions in Eastern Europe, has sparked strong reactions both in Ukraine and around the globe. The meeting was not without its challenges, leading to a public spat, with President Donald Trump asking Ukraine's president to leave the Oval Office without signing the minerals deal. Meanwhile, the European Union has reaffirmed its commitment to standing by Ukraine during these times. Well, to discuss this, I'm being joined by Professor Alexei Haran, Professor of Comparative Politics, University of Kiev, Mola Academy. Thank you so much for being here. Well, what was your initial reaction when you saw the interaction, the video that was circulating online between President Trump and President Zelensky at the Oval Office?
Well, frankly speaking, we were quite optimistic before this meeting. But yes, the situation during the meeting with press, actually, this was the first part of the meeting, because the next part should be closed discussion behind the doors. But unfortunately, we had this very emotional, let's say, discussion or even quarrels in front of cameras, and I think that wasn't good. It wasn't good really for not only for future of American-Ukrainian relations, but it was also bad for general situation, in the world, because it could look as well Trump was buying Russian arguments to use, and if Trump, how uses, the fake facts which are provided by Russia, this may be bad for the whole world, because, it would mean that such aggressors as Putin, they may follow Putin in other parts of the world. I mean, Iran, North Korea, or even China. So, yeah, I think the dialogue is not over between the US and Ukraine, but definitely now there are some complications, serious complications, and it's very good that Europe actually stepped in, that Europe is saying that it's necessary to continue support to Ukraine, and at the same time, I think Europe will try a mediation role between Ukraine and the United States.
All right. I mean, based on your perspectives as a Ukrainian citizen, what do you believe would be very effective steps that actually can achieve a resolution to this unending conflict? Do you think, are there satisfactory decisions by the EU? What are your thoughts?
Well, look, first of all, we in Ukraine, we want to stop the war. It's absolutely clear, because we are suffering the most. But my feeling is actually Putin doesn't want to stop the war. Look, even now, when there is a talk about negotiations, what Putin is doing, he's continuing offensive. He's trying to continue offensive, which is not easy for him as well. But he is bombarding the whole territory of Ukraine. Every night, we have air alarms, we have bombardments, and even air alarms during the day. And he's bombarding not military objects. He's bombarding Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. So every day, every night, Ukrainian civilians, they are dying. So I think actually Putin would like to demonstrate the force from his side in order to get concessions from others, including not only Ukraine, but including also from the United States. And I believe the only way to stop Putin here is to demonstrate that there would be no appeasement of aggressors, that actually the West is strong enough, the US are strong enough in order to stop him. So that's the only way how to deal with aggressor. And I believe Europe actually suggested that they not only suggested that they are going to continue military support of Ukraine, they announced serious economic sanctions package. And UK, for example, announced a $3 billion loan to Ukraine. What is interesting is that this loan would be paid not by Ukraine, but from frozen Russian assets in Europe. So from the interests which are coming from these frozen Russian assets. And I think that's a step in the right direction.
Okay. I want to thank you so much, Professor Alexi Haran, for speaking with us here on News Now and shedding light on this topic. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And that does it for the news for this hour. But before we go, let's take a look at some of the major stories. Governor Fubara says his government will abide by the Supreme Court's judgment on lingering political crisis in Rivers State. Nigeria's Accountant General has identified major setbacks in implementing Supreme Court's ruling on local government autonomy. And we also told you that 9 gunmen, 1 soldier, have been killed as Beninese army engaged militants in offensive operation. Don't forget you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and you can also stream live on Facebook and also on YouTube. My name is Joe Hansen. At 10, the ladies will be here for Jasiri. Thanks for watching.